Good day guys, just a quick overview of my Enduro e-bike frame BBSHD mid-drive build. It's a Shimano XTR hydraulic brakes, Shimano gear system. It's got the Sunrace rear cassette, so you're looking at 46 tooth Lekkii Bling Ring HD in the front, and the rear sprocket is a Sunrace 11 to 46 tooth rear sprocket. So it gives you good top speed, but it also gives you really good hill climbing ability. Just a quick walk around. So you got 203mm rotors all around with custom brackets for the calipers. And you can see that 11 to 46 how big it is with the 203mm rotor, man. It's phenomenal at climbing hills. Okay, start the cockpit. Got the usual stuff: PAS, the left-hand thumb control, screen, the Batman, and I've got a USB which works off the ignition. So I've got a 12 volt 3S 3P battery located just between under the forks here. If you can actually see in there. So that will control your control circuit. It does your headlights, it does your USB, and it operates the solid state relay and so on. So that's charging and balancing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Twin headlights, they also work off the key switch. They're a household, I think 3.5 watt each. They're very, very bright, and they're just modified to suit in an existing eBay aluminium housing bike headlight. Got a bit of custom stuff done to it. Got a 3-position key which is off, on, which obviously does your USB which just come up, and your Batman. It's a bit low at the moment, which hasn't not fully charged. 56.2. You can with the 15S. What's that? 15S 10P. So it's 35 amp hour. You can potentially go up. I can potentially go up to about 60 volts without, hopefully without any error codes coming up on the controller. I've had it to 58.8, of course, and it works very well. And then your headlights, which is again, and it does your headlights, which is pretty damn bright, man, considering just household 12 volts. And then you just turn her on, does its load. And I won't go into that, but yeah, you can see that. There's plenty of videos on how to use the Luna screen and system. I'd like to thank Rodney, mate, for all the Rodney from Luna Cycles, and Gary and all the other fellows that helped me out during the build. I think it was Paxton, I think it was Gary. He brought out a Enduro e-bike documentation, which is awesome to do a mid-drive build, very thorough. So going back to here, it's obviously 2 separate batteries, 8S and a 7S 10P, and this charging port does it's 4 pins, so it does battery 1 8S and battery 2 7S. And then while that's charging, you're balancing it. So that's a 8S balancing and 7S, which are obviously isolated once you turn it off. It isolates the battery separately. Custom wise, I've got 203mm rotors fitted on it, and Shimano XTR calipers, front and rear. Custom caliper mount there to suit the rotor, and also, which is pretty cool, I found a Defender XC1 front mudguard. So that's the actual whole front mudguard, and I've used the front section and the rear section to make a rear mudguard which follows the tyre better than some of these stupid mudguards that stick up in the air. And the custom custom speed sensor mount for the BBSHD, and a custom Batman watt meter mount. So it's all blended in pretty nice. And then RockShox 240 by 76mm with a 600-pound spring. So it worked out nice for me. Just a Brook suspension seat, cheap ass seat post, and a custom motor mount bracket, which took me a few attempts to get that right. And it's just held in by the bottom bracket, but also has a stainless steel hose clamp there, which has got a head shrink around it, which locks it into the swing arm. And then also you got, cheap Chinese kickstand, which works quite well. But then I made a custom kickstand mount, which just mounts to the bottom part of the frame and just clears the motor nicely. So, got the Sunrace. I can't remember exactly the Sunrace brand, but it's a Sunrace 46 to 11 tooth, which is ideal. This is in testing stage at the moment, but the chain's holding up nicely, man. So it's actually a 1 1/4 chain. There's a fairly long rear swing arm on this. 46 tooth Lekkii Bling Ring HD. So like I said, with those two combined, you get a good top end speed, but you also get a really low gear for climbing pretty much most hills. Here's the inside of the Enduro e-bike frame. I've taken out the battery box. You can see the blue auxiliary battery, just located just behind the forks. It's a 3S 3P pack. And 63 amp circuit breaker. And then there's my that's my main isolating switch. My fuse panel there, which is 2 5s and 2 15s. So that one is a 5 amp fuse for the control circuit. That's a 5 amp fuse for the auxiliary charging circuit. 15 amp fuse for battery 1 charging circuit. 15 amps fuse for battery 2 charging circuit. And I just took it apart because I've just replaced the solid state relay. I've proven that it works. I've had a cheap relay, and I've upgraded to this high quality unit, the D1 D80, 100 volt DC 80 amp, which is overkill, but that's the whole point. Over engineer is a good thing. The original solid state relay I've been running has been this cheap eBay $20–25 solid state relay. Works fine, no problem, no issues. I've just keeping this as a spare, but I've replaced it with obviously the one I just previously showed you. Yeah, for what it is, it's good. But I'll put it this way: in my mind, on the trail, if I'm 30–40 k's from home, the last thing I want to do is one of these cheap ass units failing on me. So I'll keep this as a spare, but I've got a high quality unit. The difference is that's $25, and that's about 180. So it's a big difference in costs, but the reliability is going to be there. I just installed the top part of the battery box. As you can see, I've drilled quite a number of holes through it, and it's actually galvanized street metal. And then I've painted it and put some, I think it was 3mm insertion rubber to give it a battery grip on it. But I punched holes all through it just to lighten it up. It also makes it Gets a bit of cooling in there as well, but mainly just to take the weight out of the sheet metal. So that's the bottom there, and that's the top one I just fitted. You see the 4 screws there, and again punched holes to lighten it up. You know, that was made out of one piece of steel, like that part. From there all the way up to there is one piece all bent, so that was quite difficult, but got it there. Just and then the second part is that L shape. Yeah. And just going around to the wiring. So I made up a custom bracket here to hold all my components on the other side, and that's the main connection for the 7S battery, and that's the main connection for the 8S, and then these two here, which come through this side as well, that's the charging 8S, 7S, and then you got the balancing. You got the balancing ports, which so it's again 7S and 8S, and they run up. They're wired up to that outlet, so I can charge and balance at the same time. I had to run an extension cable, like just a small extension between the handlebars because it was a bit short, and the motor itself. It's just an extension cable for the main harness. And then obviously you'll have the 8S battery. 8S battery sitting there, and then 7S battery sitting there. Yeah, just install the 8S 10P pack 1 in there. You can see how it just fits in nicely. And then I've got the second 7S just sitting there, and a bit of rubber between it. Obviously very hard to do with one hand, but okay, both batteries installed, so give me a total of 15S, 35 amp hour. I haven't taken it right to its full capacity, but I think it'll be good for I've done 45 k's on it easy, very easy. I use pedal assist most of the time, but yeah, I'd predict it'll do about 75 kilometers on the one charge. That's using pedal assist majority of the time. That's just how I ride. I just cruise along. Yeah, one issue I noticed during my rides is I get a bit of dust in all this area. There's nothing up the top, so I think I just got to make a plate, because we've got a bit of a gap underneath through there. So as your turbulence swirls around, it eventually goes in there. So I have to make up a plate that goes like across there and sort of around there and seal it off. Stop that issue. But it's minimal, but I'd like to get all the dust out as much as I could. We've got electronics in there. Yeah, with the side panels for my bike, I also made some like a foam 3mm sort of camping. Well, it's probably, actually, sorry, it's about 10mm camping mat foam, and then I've just glued it on both sides on this panel here. You know, that's my panel there, and I've actually made I just recently put a access hole. It's a wet resistant access hole. So when I put it up on my bike like that, I can actually open that, and then I can turn on the main switch on and off. So that rubber, that's been mounted on both panels, so it actually sandwiches the battery quite nicely with this minimal movement, as possible. Yeah, fitted all the side covers on. Yeah, put made an Aussie sticker on it, just because unfortunately not many things are made in Australia anymore, as most countries now. It's all made in China and Taiwan and Malaysia and all those sort of places. So yeah, quite proud of something that's actually made in Australia, even though I made it. But yeah, quite proud of that. Going back to those foams I was talking about, if I press on the side cover, it's quite firm, so there's no movement, because there's foam on both sides, as I explained earlier. So when you press on it, there's no movement between the batteries, so there's no sideways slop, there's no up and down slop. So the batteries are quite well padded, but they're quite they're quite stable in there, no movement. That's the and there's a little sticker I put on there, so that's pretty cool. And there's a main switch. It's actually an access hole to the main 63 amp circuit breaker. So I'll just open it up, put your thumb in there, turn it on. There it is in there, and then obviously you want to turn it off. So it's quite accessible. Where previously I was actually taking off these 4 bolts, pulling the cover out to put my hand down there to turn it off. So I was getting over that. I didn't want to put that there, but it's just a safety thing. You want to be able to turn it off, isolate the motor and the controller pretty quickly from the batteries if you need to. And I also isolate it when I go to charge it. I don't need to, but I just like isolating the motor and the controller when I go to charge it through the charging balancing ports that I've previously shown you. Yeah. So yeah, reviewing my build, I'm pretty much I'm very happy with it. This sort of setup is made for people who want to do a lot of single trail, low to mid-speed riding with heaps of hilly terrain and rough surfaces. That's the sort of riding I do. I'm not one of these guys that sit on the throttle the whole time and only get 20 to 25 k's out of your battery and wonder why you're not going, you're not getting the distance. But yeah, it's the main reason I chose the mid-drive BBSHD option, because you got the gear, you got the 11 to 46 tooth gear choices for the increased torque for the hill climbs, and it puts traction down very well. But if you it turns the speed. You go probably get about 45 k's an hour on a flat in the 11th tooth at the rear, and going down a hill you get up to, I think I've clocked 90 k's down a hill one time, because you've got a bit of weight behind you, but probably 85 is normal going down some smooth surfaces. But realistically you only get to about 55, 60 because it gets a bit hairy on rough surfaces. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at a bike that's going to be full on quick, and you're not doing any hills or any full on rough trails, by all means get a hub drive, but and then you'll be using it more like a motorbike. You won't be using pedal assist so much, but you just don't have the gear. You don't have the gear ratios. You only got the. I've only seen 7 speed with the hub motors, so at the moment I'm running 11 speed. Yeah, so just let guys know that if they do want to build this way, go for it. But don't expect to run around like a motorbike. It's made for as I said, just touring, single track touring. technical and hard terrain. It's excellent, you know. I get up to 75 k's and it's very enjoyable. I'm pretty proud of it. So, and there's the other side cover I just put back on. Same thing again. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Yeah, if you have any questions, put it in the link below. But yeah, next time. Until next time. See yous.